Hi everyone, this is Rachel, the UX Critic. I'm going to be reviewing my very first site today for this channel. It's called paymentcards.ca. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a Canadian site. I'm going to put a link to this in my description. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to scroll through this real quick. The first thing that you'll notice is that it has a lot of carousels. And anyone who knows me knows that I don't really like carousels a whole lot on websites, especially if it goes by kind of fast. When you have 3 of them on the page, it can get pretty distracting. So I would recommend having 1 at most, and usually I don't even like having 1 on there because you want your viewers to look at your product, to spend time reading what your product is about, to hopefully click on your product, and that makes it hard with the carousel. I would also say that carousels are probably not that great for SEO purposes. There's no text that's not in a carousel here mostly. I mean, there's this little text up here, and then there's the navigation and the footer. So probably you want to have some static text on the page that's not within an image like this one is, and that would probably help with SEO. Also, you'll notice that these carousels down here, they've got some sort of padding or margin problems. It's not really aligned with this carousel, so that bothers me. It just looks kind of strange. I would recommend making this flush with this carousel and this flush with this carousel. Of course, I would probably just get rid of these altogether and just have text here with links and such, but if you're gonna have a carousel, definitely I would recommend lining those up. I'm also noticing on here that there's no call to action on here. There's no click here now to order. There's no take a look at each of these products individually and add to cart. Here's the pricing, things like that you usually see on an e-commerce site. So if you want to increase orders, I would definitely have a couple of your products on this homepage without, again, being in this carousel, just something static that a person can click on a button or a person can view the price, basically see a bunch of your products on the homepage, because your homepage is where you make your first impression. So I really don't know what it is what your products are beyond a couple of these images, and there's no reason to have this little content on your homepage. I would very much like to see more of your cards, more of your designs. You know, why should I choose you? Why should I order from your site over a lot of other card sites that are out there? Probably the answer to that question is in part that your designs stand out. You have some really funny designs or some really sweet designs, but I don't really see that right now because there's not really hardly anything on here. So that's one recommendation that I would give to you. I also was kind of wondering about this section right here. I don't know if you have a logo. It looks like this is an icon of some kind, not really a logo. So I would definitely put some sort of unique logo on here besides an envelope icon. I think that would help you stand out a bit. I also didn't realize until I clicked that this is actually a drop down. I guess you can see by that arrow, but I'm not really used to that on sites. I don't really see a drop down where the logo usually should be. Usually you'll see some sort of link over here that says like About Us or FAQs or something like that. It's usually separated from the logo, so that was different, and I might put that somewhere else. So let's go through some of these pages right here. I first noticed this. At first I actually didn't know what this was referring to, how many days until I didn't understand what that meant. And when I clicked on that page, oh, it's about different holidays. So one thing I would definitely recommend is changing this link to something else. Maybe it could be like holiday countdown or holiday tracker or something like that. But at first I just got confused. I didn't understand what that was referring to. So let's check out another site, our page. Let's go to subscription service. So I kind of noticed this on a few of your pages. I think that this text is too small. I would increase this text size. It just makes me not want to read it. I don't really care about whatever this says because I just can't really skim it very easily. It's a very thin font, whatever it is. And again, the font is probably just a little bit too small. I would bump that up here for sure. So I was taking a look at your different plans here, and this actually is pretty nice. Send unlimited free cards with our subscription service. I thought that was pretty cool. maybe if I was a businesswoman or something and I had my own business and I wanted to thank all of my vendors, all of my suppliers, all of my customers, that could be a really cool service for me. So I would definitely play up that part of it, of your service on your site. Now, being an American, one of my first questions was, what is the conversion rate of Canadian dollars? And that's not really given here. I don't really know how often Canadian sites have American customers, if that's a thing that comes up on Canadian sites a lot, where they need to convert it to the American dollar, and maybe other dollars too, like the euro or something like that, which was another question. Do you ship to international addresses? Do you ship to America? You know, something about that on here would help a lot for my understanding of what this service is. So let's go to another page here. Go to testimonials. Just going to scroll through this a little briefly. So one of my first comments on this page is, I don't really care. I'm just going to be blunt. I mean, there's way too many testimonials on here. I don't even know how many there are, but I would never really go beyond the fold here, you know, scrolling down. When it comes to testimonials, I probably only want to, you know, look at 3 at max. So I would definitely say, for one, there's just too many on here. I don't really understand why there's sort of an every other thing going on here, where some of these are to the right and then they're to the left. I think it must be to help separate them out, but it's kind of weird to read the ones that are to the right like this, when, of course, we are viewed things to the left, starting from the left to right. So I wouldn't format it like this. I think it's already broken up by this different shades of gray right here. Let's go to another page. So this is the About page. Again, this text is just too small. I'm not going to read this. I'm not going to read this because it's just too thin and too small, and my eyes just won't let me skim it. I like this right here. We send real cards, and then you have the photo. But what I want to say to this is, you send real cards, well then show it on this page. You've got this tiny image here, and I can't really see the designs very well. So I would love to see some full-blown images of your different cards on this page to prove that you're specialized, you're different from everyone else. I want to buy your cards instead of your competitors' cards. So definitely add more images to this page. In fact, all of the other pages too, so that I can see what your designs are. So let's try to register over here. There's not really a whole lot to say about this page. The alignment looks to be a little bit off right here on these fields. And I would also say that this is probably too long. I don't know why your first name needs this entire length of the page here. You should definitely shorten this field to easily half for all of these things, honestly. And you could shrink this text size. In fact, you probably don't even need to have this label at all, because you have it right here, really. So you could cut this page in half easily just by doing some of these tricks, maybe decreasing the font size or get rid of the label altogether. Also, the required star asterisk, it looks small, it looks kind of strange because it's not the same size as this. So it's hard to read. So let's go to the sign in. Very similar to the registration page. Again, I would shrink up this area. I think it could be cut in half and still make sense. This is just way too long for an email address, so that's one tip that I would have for you. Okay, so my next note is the footer over here. And the first thing that I noticed about the footer was that I think that the text color is just, it doesn't contrast enough to the footer background, which is also gray. So I would possibly make this black. I would make this text black or blue or something just to stand out a little bit more, and maybe do something else with the footer to help it separate itself from this gray page right here. And for some reason the share is to the left. Maybe, center that to be with the rest of the footer. And those are some things that I would consider for the footer. It just kind of looks weird. Like you can tell that this isn't aligned with this. It's not centered. So that looks a little bit strange. I also like the look and feel of some of the pages over here. This definitely looks like it was taken from some sort of template or something like that. So this actually looks great over here. Let's see if I can get this to load. And I like that color, by the way. I really like the purple and the green. This definitely looks dated. I don't know what software this is, what plugin this is, but you can tell that it was made, you know, at least a couple of years ago. So I would consider updating that, but I'm sure it's functional. So as long as it's functional, that's probably the main thing. I don't know what happens when this goes into mobile. Maybe you have a responsive thing for that. But so I like the actual design of your product pages, but you know, you're probably losing some people with this homepage, unfortunately. So I would definitely bump up this homepage, put in some static products, and then you'll probably get more customers. So that's my review of my first site, pamentcards.ca. If you would like me to review your site, send me a tweet at ux_critic on Twitter, and I'll take a look at your site. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.